Good day, YouTube. It is the 3rd of January, 2024. We are back working on the 1955 Cushman Truckster, the ultimate racetrack pit bike, tool, workstation, etc. And this is, I think, episode 7 or so of the build. So we got a playlist on my channel. You can go to the playlist and see every video we've done on this all the way back to when I bought this thing many years ago. Was waiting for inspiration. That inspiration came to me in June, and this is the result. So going to show you how I'm installing these lights coming up in just a minute. There's about 130 so far. Now when I build a bumper for this, that will add another 50 or 60 lights. So we're gonna top out at around 200 lights on this, and they're gonna have multiple functions, and that will be interesting for you to see, and will be interesting for both of us to see how I pull that off. I got it figured out, I believe, and we'll video along the way. Here we go. Well, it's been a minute since I've given you guys an update. It is the 3rd of January now. I've been putting lights in. I've been spending hours and hours a day, not the whole day, but hours and hours putting lights in. So I got this whole side done. Yeah, I actually have mocked up this top row. I'll at least show the top row flashing before we end this video. If not, I'll have more than just the top row to flash. Anyway, it's a matter of sorting out all my home runs. Then I do have the rear done. This is a lot of work, let me tell you. It's just tedium. I'm going to give you a little example of how much work this is. I'm soldering everything and shrink tubing it. This is my third 8-foot long roll of shrink tube, and I'm only using them 1 inch at a time. So 8 times 3, 24 feet. I've used 23 feet of shrink tube using 1 inch at a time. That's a lot. And I have almost this whole top row on this side complete. Got to leave this one out because I forgot to glue this rubber grommet in. I got 2 more to do. I thought I'd show you a couple, just how much work it really is. So the one on the end is red. It will be down here too. It's the same switch leg as the ambers, but it's the end of the vehicle, so it needs to be red. Yeah. So this is a tail light and a brake light. Okay. It's pretty cool. When you turn the tail light on, it does the kit from Knight Rider. Woo, 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 woo. Then turns on. And when you hit the brake, it goes blink, 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 and stays on higher beam, higher intensity. Okay. These will be the turn signal. They'll also be able to be turned on. They'll also be able to turn off and turn the white lights on. They'll also be able to alternate flash with the others. That's the tricky relay part. Okay, in the rear, the 5 center lights will be tail lights. These will be turn signals. That one, that one, that one, that one. Okay, left turn, right turn, just like up here, right? There will not be a brake light here. The brake light will be up here, and I'll probably do something when I build the fenders, okay, or the bumper. I'll decide later. So anyway, same deal. These will always just be tail lights. These will be able to alternate flash. Yeah, it's going to be absolutely crazy. The wiring will get crazy here after a while. Okay, it will. I am going to allow myself to build the rear bumper possibly at a later date. If I have time, we'll keep building it, but I have pulled the wire down to it. Okay, We'll coil it up, we'll shove it up there. We'll do something, but I've got what I call a full boat. So I've got a ground and 4 switch legs pulled back here. So I got the amber switch leg, a white switch leg. We can do turn signal, brake lights, whatever we want to do in the bumper. The wires are here. They're all pulled through here and exit into here, into this mess of wires here. It's not a mess. They're all labeled and we'll figure out what they're doing. Some of these will splice here. I pulled a loop in that full boat. Just gives us options. Of course, this all covers with sheet metal. You'll never see any of that. So I have gone a long ways. I've worked a lot of hours. It's real tedious, but it's really worth it once you see it all in action. I thought I would make you watch me put a couple of these in. All right, so there's 2 to go. On this side, I think I spent 4.5 days just pulling the wire, getting everything routed. This I had to leave out because I forgot to glue that in till today, so it'll dry. I could put it in tomorrow. Okay, so greens are grounds, white wires, the white LED switch leg. So we'll get them just kind of trimmed. Strip all 4 wires. This is 18 gauge copper stranded. Okay, so I'll grab a white light. I'll trim down the pigtail. We'll strip them. Strip them. Get these kind of twisted up. I've had a few of these that were the wrong color on the polarity, so every one I'm testing. Not only from a polarity standpoint, just to be sure that they work. So should be white, should be negative, and it is. Of course, it's just a 9-volt battery, and the bigger terminal on the 9-volt battery is the negative. So we're testing every one with a 9-volt battery, be sure they work. So the white is ground, so the white goes to green. So it's just is part of every installation of every light, is to be sure which color is ground, because an LED will not work in the wrong polarity, and I'll have to take it apart and cut it out, solder the replacement, or resolder it in the correct polarity if I get it wrong. Okay, so again, everything I'm soldering and shrink tubing, right? So it takes a minute, and there's only so much room in here to, to pack connectors and things. So a solder connection is going to be the best connection. It's also going to be the smallest connection. So we're warming up the solder gun. I'm not the guy that's going to show you how to solder, but I'll tell you, you're going to heat the wire by putting a piece of solder on your solder gun. It's kind of like putting oil in your skillet, because it helps to transfer the heat. And then you're going to put the solder on the wire, and you're going to let the heat draw the solder through the wire. Okay? It's not globbing it on, it's drawing it through the wire. Okay? It's a little challenging because this wire's kind of floppy up here. But you manage. Okay? A few of these are just come up just a little bit long. I'll trim them just a little. And then we'll cut the shrink tube, so I'm going to be in your face. Again, I'm just cutting the shrink tube about 1 inch with a scissors, off camera now. Okay, I got 2 1-inch pieces. Getting the shrink tube at Harbor Freight. This is $2 a roll for 8 feet. And it is the perfect size. It's a 11/64, I believe. And it has a 2-to-1 shrink ratio. And it's pretty good quality. Okay, it's working well. This is the 3rd roll I've used. And I'm about gone with it. I have 1 more roll that I have picked up. Oh boy, there we are. And it was all they had. So I may have to go to a different store if I run out, but I actually should have enough. Okay, I'll fire up my little torch. We'll shrink this down. It's also a Harbor Freight torch. Had it for quite a few years actually. Works fine. I think it was like 15 bucks or something back in the day. So I just fold these wires over. You can see I folded the shrink tube over the ends of the wire. I kind of shove it in there to kind of get everything to find its spot. I line up the lens, the little ribs horizontally. And then we'll shove it on in there. All right, I have 1 to go. And this little task will be done, or this row will be done. I could start on the last row tomorrow. It's kind of late in the day. There we go. Yeah, tomorrow's another day. So tomorrow I'll finish this, and then I'll start sorting out my home runs. And start to put the controls together. So when I get that kind of sorted and I get something running, I'll come back and show you what we got. But I gotta start hooking up like my interior lights that are here. I call them dome lights. That's how I've done them, or that's how I've labeled them. But anyways, there's an on-off switch on them, but I'm gonna switch them separate. In case something gets left on and I need to roll, I can just come over here and, you know, turn them off. So that is the goal. I had run out of switches. I ordered more there here. I've run out of relays. I ordered more there here. My big pile of parts over here. My welding table is enormous for all the projects we're working on. But, oh, there's the switches right there. Anyway, you got to have parts if you're going to build stuff. So we got them. All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Well, I finally got all the lights connected. Yep, this was the last row. I just glued that bushing in, so that one's got to go in tomorrow. But yep, this whole side is done. So now we get to start the more fun, less tedium stuff. And it is all of the wiring. So let me show you how I'm going to structure this. So I have put an 832 nutsert right here and another one on the other side. And that's where all the ground wires are going to go to, okay? So we're going to attach ground wire here. All of the ground wires that are on this side are going to attach here. We're going to attach all of the ground wires on that side to that one. We're going to use a slightly larger conductor green wire to go between them. And then we're going to hook the battery ground wire to that one, which will ground the frame. We'll put a ground strap between the frame and the body of the bike. And so everything will be tied together. And there is actually 2 batteries in here, so both batteries will be attached together via that ground stud. And so that'll be good. I have installed 4 additional 832 nutserts in this location for... These are screw-on tie wrap mounts, zip tie mounts, if you will. So, got a Phillips screw in there. They're a little long, but it's what I got. And anyway, we'll straighten that up. with the idea of I can put a tie wrap in there and start stringing a wire. We'll leave everything loose at the end so we can dress everything very nicely. Let me demonstrate. So there's a couple zip ties put through the mount like that, and I just put this in for demonstration purposes, but we'll be able to put all the wires through the loops. And come on, there we go. And once we get everything in, we can then start dressing everything nice and neat. That'll all make sense after a while, because we have a lot of wires to go through, and we got to get them all routed properly, nice and clean. We got wires from the radio right here. There's just wires everywhere. So once we get everything run through, it might even temporary some on the other end. And until everything is run, we're not going to worry about a lot of neatness, because we're going to have to come back and get them all neat and tidy eventually. So we're still going to solder everything that's appropriate to be soldered, shrink tube together. It'll be nice, neat, and presentable when we're done. So I'm going to start this wiring menagerie and start routing some wire, kind of keeping everything straight, neat, and tidy along the way. And I'll bring you back pretty soon. All right, we are test running the lights in the dark, because it's like after 6. My wife's probably wondering why I'm not home yet to take her to dinner. So we just got the amber circuit on, okay? And believe it or not, all these are running on a 9-volt battery. Yep, sorry it's dark, but we got to show. So if I unhook them, I lose my light, and I'll hook up the white ones if I can somehow. Hang on, I'm shoving you under my arm. I got it. I can't see. I couldn't see. Okay. And those are the white. They are not as bright as it would be hooked up to the 12-volt battery, obviously. Okay. These are the white circuit. I didn't hook them both together because, well, it's a 9-volt battery. It's probably going to last 5 minutes. Okay, I got the upper row on the rear. I don't have the lower row because there's a splice right there I have to make. So this is reminding me that I have to make that splice. So tomorrow's going to be a good day because I got to figure out the controls now. Remember, these lights all have to be controlled in different ways, and I need to come up with that, and tomorrow's the day. So it is tomorrow. All right, guys, it is the next day. It's Friday, January 5th. And today is about connections. Now that we got kind of all the lights in, and I have some of the wiring kind of sorted out, but what I needed to know so I could go forward was, will these 40 amp rated relays handle this flasher? Because I need the relays for their ability to isolate. And to do that, every function of this lighting system has to be relay controlled. But this very quick flashing action, I need these relays to handle it. So I'm just letting them run for a bit, making sure they're not getting hot. They're not. I think we're going to be good to go. So they're real temporaried in for the minute. And I think we're good. So I need to start assigning relays for functions and assigning relays to how to describe it. For example, these are going to be turn signals, but they also need to alternate flash. So right now they're not hooked up, obviously, but I need to assign a relay for these lights, this row and this row. And then I need to assign a relay to shut these off if I want this action to happen. So for every function, there's probably going to be like 2 relays, one to enable it and one to disable. So one function will have priority over another function, and I'll use the normally closed function to open the circuit when it's energized and not allow that function to happen while the other function is happening. Okay, does that make a little bit of sense? As we go forward, I'll draw pictures and do a better job of explaining. Right now we're, of course, just testing theories to be sure that it's going to work like I want it to work. So we're in a step in the right direction, and I'm going to move forward and start assigning relays. Not going to shorten wires and terminate anything until this thing is 100%. And then we'll go back in and do a wiring cleanup. In the short term, I have everything routed over here. Let me go around the other side. The best we can. Well, maybe not everything, but we have a lot of it done. So I have basically everything running over there to the control stuff. The grounds are terminated on both sides. We got a ground wire connecting one side to another because I have another stud like this on the other side. We have the outlets connected. Actually have the I have so many things temporary and undone, but I do have all the lights, the dome lights I'm calling them. They're connected. I just don't have the fuse box heated up at the moment. So okay, I'm going to start assigning relays and start temporarying some things in place. I'm going to use a lot of spade connectors. I'm going to put them on and then eventually cut them all off, shorten wires, and put new ones on. So we're going to go through a lot of stake-on fittings, crimp-on fittings, and such. So, all right, guys, I'm going to continue. Well, here's the update. It's late in the day now. It's about 5 o'clock now on Friday. I've been scratching my head a little bit today, I got to admit, but I got everything sorted out as far as the clearance lights and such around this machine. I will then start moving on tomorrow or whenever I get back at this to things like, you know, tail lights, brake lights, which I'm just starting to dive into. I think I'll wait till I do a wiring straighten up to show you the details, and that might actually be a separate video or the next video, I guess. And then I do have everything kind of sorted out. It looks terrible, I get that, but it's actually not bad. I have, well, let's just say I've taken a few breaks and took a few walks to kind of clear my head, come back and get into this thing. And it has taken 6 relays to accomplish just my clearance lights issues. So we'll get into taillights, brake lights, turn signals, emergency flashers, that kind of thing going forward. I'm starting to mock those up now, and I just got to build it and think and look and, you know, kind of temporary stuff in and then come back to it. But I will eventually explain it all to you when it becomes more clear for me to show it to you. I got a lot of jumpers and things going on, but it's working good. One thing I'll note is you see that orange box right there. That is an LED flasher. I keep quite a few of those on the shelf because that's what it's going to take to flash something that doesn't have much of a load. But I wanted to show you what I've got done so far and how this thing is going to look, because I have most everything fully functional. So hang on. All right, I turned the lights down so you could probably see my light. So the center 5 red lights are tail lights, and then you can see I have a brake light tail light. Let me turn the tail lights on. You can see what they look like coming on one piece at a time. I got my little flashlight with me so I can read what I got going on. So watch the upper light. It's pretty cool, actually. So there's tail lights. Okay. So this should be brake lights. gotta get them all underneath my clip here somehow or the other. So that's tail lights and brake lights. And now I have the left turn and right turn signals tied together, so call them emergencies, if you will. And we'll get those going. Okay. So that's the rear. I'm going to jump in front of you here. Okay. I don't know how well that shows up on camera, not so much on my viewfinder, but it's nice and bright. It's pretty cool. All right, now let me show you some more. So the rest of the lights, clearance lights, whatever you want to call them, have three functions. One, I can turn on ambers. It's on the switch now. It's on the switch they're going to be on, actually. So there's ambers on, and that's legal to run down the road. Okay. Then I could turn on the white lights. That allows people to see me running through the pits or whatever. And but not legal to run down the road. You can't have white lights like that. Or you can run them both. Or we could go into emergency mode. Off, on. So the relays are handling it fine. The alternating flasher. And yeah, that's emergency mode. So that's why it took 6 relays, because when every time you turn on a function, you got to turn off the other 2. I don't want to backfeed that expensive flasher unit, so I isolated them with relays. We'll go with that for now. Okay, so yeah, pretty cool. Got a lot going on. They're nice and bright. I'm gonna kill the rest of the lights. A little darker in here now. Give it the full effect. All right, well, I have a lot of work ahead of me. I have a lot of straightening out to do. I'm gonna get this video ready to post and kind of go from there. So guys, I appreciate you watching the video. Thumbs up on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We got a lot of work to do on this thing. A lot of videos to watch. Heck, find another video. Watch another one while you're at it. Why don't you? That would be cool. And we'll catch you guys on the next video.